Rabosoko, Mahanda Akasata, Reke Yamanda Raboko Sokota, Ronda Yakande Eke Seke La Mama Manda Rabakase, Meta Rabakande La Babakaso, Yalamana Niana no, Sakayato Yakande, Yamakato, Yabatadia City Akano, Yakatara City. Power!
All right, last one on the day. Now you might have heard that you can no longer translate from Hebrew on X. This is indeed true. This is from Grok. Translation from Hebrew was disabled because it often amplified inflammatory or policy violating content like calls for violence to a global audience via inaccurate or literal rendition. See, it had to throw that out because of whatever Elon did on that fucking island. X prioritizes free speech for opinions, but limits features that exacerbate harm without suspending originals. No evidence supports targeting any group. It's about platform integrity amid documented spikes in Hebrew hate speech. Yeah, so that is a very AIPAC-friendly way of saying these genocidal psycho Israelis keep threatening to commit genocide against Palestinians. So we had to disable Hebrew so that people couldn't find out what these psychos are actually saying on the platform. It's very interesting the way it put in all those qualifications that make no sense in the context of what you're saying, that what they're saying is genocidal and spreading hate, but it's not targeted at a group. Then how could they be saying things that are genocidal and hate?
Right.
It's just incredible. That's the new lobotomized Mecha Hitler comes up with things like that. Petra Schurenhofer. Translation from Hebrew was disabled amid documented spikes in Hebrew hate speech. Translation from Hebrew disabled while the inflammatory originals remain. Wow. So they're not, so you're admitting that's hate speech, but they're not taking down the Hebrew because, you know, the Israelis aren't going to be offended. They like that shit. They like that. I thought it was the anti-Semites who were chanting genocidal things from the river to the sea and all that. Wow. Michael Rechtenwald, PhD. Now, what's the name of the PAC he runs?
AZAPAC. It's a new anti-Zionist political action committee that he just formed, so they can like raise money for anti-Zionist candidates. It sounds great. We're going to have him on our show next Tuesday.
Yep. Zionist rhetoric is so malicious and genocidal that X turned off translation of Hebrews. Now, Brianna Joy Gray here points out it's not enough to disable Hebrew to English translations. They're going to have to pull all video off this app to keep Zionists from incriminating themselves. So what is she quote tweeting here? This is from Chris Manahan. Former Obama speechwriter Sarah Hurwitz laments to Jewish Federation that people are finding content from Al Jazeera and Nick Fuentes on social media and seeing videos of the carnage in Gaza. Holocaust education has backfired in part as people see Palestinians as Jews victims, she adds. They think the lesson of the Holocaust is you fight the big, powerful people hurting weak people. The lesson they were supposed to get is that it gives Israel the right to commit genocide in perpetuity. That's not spin, man. That's not spin, as you will see.
I think that since October 7th, but really before then, there have been huge shifts in America on how people think about Jews and Israel. And I think that is especially true of young people. So we are now wrestling with a new, I think, generational divide here. And I think that's particularly true in that social media is now our source of media. And this, you know, it used to be that the media you got in America was American media, and it was pretty mainstream. You know, it generally didn't express extreme anti-Israel views. You had to go to a pretty weird bookstore to find global media and fringe media. But today, we have social media, which is a global medium, right? It is shaped, its algorithms are shaped by billions of people worldwide who don't really love Jews. And so while in the 1990s, a young person probably wasn't going to find Al Jazeera or someone like Nick Fuentes, today those media outlets find them. They find them on their phones. It's also this increasingly post-literate media, less and less text, more and more videos. So you have TikTok just smashing our young people's brains all day long with video of carnage in Gaza. And this is why so many of us can't have a sane conversation with younger Jews, because anything that we try to say to them, they are hearing it through this wall of carnage. So I want to give data and information and facts and arguments, and they are just seeing in their minds carnage.
Now she's conceding that they're seeing carnage in Gaza. She's not even pulling the Pallywood bullshit. She's not even claiming it's all fake. These are all movie sets. It's all makeup. It's the same actor. She's conceding it's carnage, but the kids are crazy because, I can explain to them statistically why genocide is okay.
Yeah. Andrew, look at that freeze frame for the thumbnail. You got it. You had it right there. There you go. No, I just want to say before you start the video again, what those videos are called in journalism. Those are called sources. Those are called primary sources. You actually see the event that's happening. And what she's complaining about is that we don't get to bullshit people and gaslight them about what they're actually seeing. It's funny. This came up yesterday on our show. It's an inversion of the principle show, don't tell. That's what you're supposed to do when you're telling a story. You're supposed to show something, not tell it. In other words, it's always more powerful to actually see the thing happen than to hear someone explain it and rationalize it secondhand. And what she's saying is, isn't it annoying that people see this barbarism rather than hear about it from us? We're supposed to put in context what that means for them and tell them what to think about it. And we're not able to do that anymore because they're actually seeing it firsthand.
Yeah, she's complaining that you no longer have Zionist-owned news outlets acting as intermediaries between the consumer and the raw reality of what Israel is actually doing.
Right, exactly.
And I sound obscene. And, I think, unfortunately, the very smart, bet that we made on Holocaust education to serve as anti-Semitism education, in this new media environment, I think that is beginning to break down a little bit. Because, Holocaust education is absolutely essential. But I think it may be confusing some of our young people about anti-Semitism because they learn about big, strong Nazis hurting weak, emaciated Jews. And they think, anti-Semitism is like anti-black racism, right? Powerful white people against powerless black people.
Keep going.
So when on TikTok all day long they see powerful Israelis hurting weak, skinny Palestinians, it's not surprising that they think, I know, the lesson of the Holocaust is you fight Israel. You fight the big, powerful people hurting the weak people.
I mean, other people have said this, that this clip almost left them speechless. It really does. It's stunning because you want to see a study in how pickled a Zionist brain is in propaganda. This is somebody who worked for Obama. This is somebody who has education, who's presumably somewhat sophisticated in media and politics and communication, who is so brainwashed, so blinded by the propaganda that in all likelihood, if she's like, frankly, most Jews, she spent her whole life stewing in this propaganda that, yes, of course, Israel is right to do what it's doing. And the problem with people seeing the Holocaust is they didn't understand it as a story about Jews being oppressed. They understood it as a story of weak people being oppressed by strong people. And that's not the lesson. The lesson is that Jews are an oppressed people, which gives them the right to do whatever they want. They're not making that leap to the Holocaust gives them the right to do whatever they want. I mean, it's just amazing that she laid that out in that way. It's something that many critics of Zionism understand is the underlying Zionist philosophy, but they generally won't cop to it. She literally just cops to that underlying theme.
Yes, the underlying theme that the lesson of the Holocaust is that Jews are special and chosen and can do no wrong. That is the lesson she drew from the Holocaust. That is what they want that lesson to be. And when the Jewish state
Never
commits
again
a
for
Holocaust,
us.
right? Never again for us, not for you, right? So I could say this. I guess I have some license to say this as a Jewish guy. Not that they will afford me any license. The Zionists are most ruthless against Jews like me who would say a thing like this. But what that is very strong evidence of is the unfortunate fact, and I say this as a Jewish guy myself, that yes, Jewish culture breeds entitlement and arrogance. It does. It does. It's an arrogant religion that breeds a culture of entitlement. I mean, that's what's on display there. You can't describe that any other way. You really can't.
Of course.
I mean,
of course.
How is somebody?
The fact that she went on stage and said that.
Yeah, that you go on stage and you say a thing like that. That the lesson of the Holocaust is that you should never criticize Jews. What?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So some responses, Janine Eunice. I am almost literally speechless. Yes. She's decrying the fact that kids take away from Holocaust education has been that we must protect helpless people from powerful people killing them. The real lesson from the Holocaust, it seems, is that Israel must be able to commit genocide if it wants to. Hamid Bendas. Craziest part of this is at 140, where she backhandedly argues against Holocaust education because it can lead people to sympathize with American black people and Palestinians. That was really amazing. They're seeing it like the blacks in the South. That we don't want them thinking that. Hassan Piker. Holocaust education is too successful. It made the kids anti-Holocaust while Israel is trying to do one. Yes, exactly. All right, so not to be outdone, Olivia Reingold, the famine apologist from the Free Press, she went up and they applauded her reporting, which revealed that some of the pictures of children starving to death were of children that had pre-existing conditions that exacerbated their starvation. And as Manahan points out, they think that makes it better.
Story that I think if I were to die today would be included in my obituary. It included, there was so much controversy over it, but no one has disputed
very proud
the
of
facts,
it.
which were
she wants it on her
that,
epitaph.
In 12 out of 12 instances of photos that were alleged to show starvation and famine in Gaza, we actually found that these children had really complicated medical histories. These were just the first 12 examples that we looked into that were circulating online. And I got this idea because when I started reading this coverage, this was this past August, I started to notice that the same children were being photographed over and over again. And they were often photographed by different photographers, which to me suggested a level of coordination. Obviously,
yeah, no, there's a modeling agency in Gaza for
specialized food, but
for emaciated
it is a war
children.
Zone, and so sometimes that specialized treatment can be incredibly sick, and often do need specialized food, but it is a war zone, and so sometimes that specialized treatment can be hard to get a hold of. But
so the children with medical conditions are being starved, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? It's a war zone. And as we'll see, by specialized food, she must mean like food.
Yeah.
Because
like
that's
food.
what the Israelis were blocking, food, not specialized food, just food.
People with pre-existing conditions are always the first to suffer the most and die in a public health crisis. Obviously.
Of course.
That's not like, how is that even a fucking point to me?
This is how sick these people are. They think this is an own.
Think this is an own. They were already sick.
And not a confession.
Yeah, they were already sick. That means they're going to starve to death first. Like, that's not even a point.
Right.
It's way more complicated than these stories allege. And actually, because of our reporting at the Free Press, multiple news outlets had to issue corrections. But still, these images circulate online all the time and have often motivated violence against Jews.
Olivia, thank you
Where?
for the work.
Like what?
Where? Can you
Where?
give us an example? Can you
Where?
give us an example? Yeah, this is basically like saying, yeah, when they cut the power to the town, the people at the nursing home died of heat prostration first because they were old already.
Right. Exactly.
So actually, you didn't do anything wrong by cutting the power to the town. It's just that the old people in the nursing home were old, so they died because they were old. Mehdi Hassan. Reingold claims all of the emaciated kids in Gaza she covered had complicated medical histories. One of them had part of their head blown off by an Israeli shell.
Yeah, I remember.
She omits to mention that here.
Yep.
Crowd wouldn't have liked that. Peter Dow. One of the sickest, most depraved rationalizations I've ever heard. The kids Israel was starving to death already had pre-existing illnesses. And again, by special food not available, hundreds of trucks full of baby formula were parked at the border, literally ready to feed children, and the fucking Israeli government was blocking them. I know Netanyahu will rot in hell, and Olivia Reingold will be right next to him. And that's from Le Monde there. And I just want to close out with this because it's a very good point, because, you know, very often we'll see these Israeli maniacs like Ben-Gvir or the psycho Israeli ambassador to the UN who just put out a video complaining that the UN has pictures drawn by school children around the world looking for peace that don't include Israel, and demands that they be taken down as an anti-Semitic display. I shit you not. But hey, man, none of this would be possible without the complicity of American Zionists, not of all of whom are Jews. You got your Mike Huckabees, obviously, and your Donald Trumps. But yeah, man, in terms of the Jewish community's responsibility, this would not be possible without these propagandists. So Sana Saeed says here, any conversation to be had on the genocide of Palestinians must include how Jewish American leaders, communities, organizations, and temples have overwhelmingly taken the position of the right to slaughter, displace, starve, and eradicate Palestinians. Yeah, man. You got a reporter there, American. You got an Obama staffer, American. Polling shows us 80% of American Jews, and my experience would match that. Obviously, there's a certain generational thing that's part of what she was complaining about, that it's harder to make this case to younger Jews. But overall, yeah, man. Look, there are certain restaurants that there's, honest to God, I swear to God, I like to go to the 2nd Avenue Deli in New York sometimes on Thanksgiving because I'm not going to cook a whole freaking turkey. I'm hesitant to go there, man, because I am betting you there's going to be some fucking support Israel shit on the wall. Like, I don't want to be around that, man. I can pretty much assume that a place that is Jewish in New York is going to have that in it. That is how much it is the way to bet that anything that represents itself as being part of that community is going to be Zionist. And I don't even want to be in spaces like that. Like, I don't want to, it'll ruin my appetite. Like, I can't even be around that. So that's absolutely right, man. Like, it's easy to look at the Netanyahus and the Ben-Gvirs, but you can look right here. Look at these sick motherfuckers, man. They're just as sick as any one of those Israeli propagandists who are directly committing this genocide, because they're giving the cover for that genocide in the country that's funding and equipping the genocide. If all of these mostly Jewish people who are Zionists turned against it and spoke against it, I don't think it would be sustainable. And then you're cutting off the head of the beast at its source.
Right.
But they're not going to do that.
No, absolutely. No, I feel I feel the same way. Like, when I I never even tell this. I don't think I've ever told it. In fact, I know I've never told the story because I've made a conscious effort not to, because I'm not really comfortable, like, even expressing myself in this way in, like, day-to-day life. Believe it or not, I don't talk politics very often outside of this show here, but my kids have a pediatricians group that they belong to. So they don't have one doctor, it's a medical group. So they have a rotating, sort of roster of doctors, and one of them is a Palestinian doctor, and he wears a Free Palestine bracelet whenever he's working. And I've only seen him a couple times because it's a rotating roster of doctors. You don't get the same guy every time. And when he comes in, he examines the kid. Obviously, there's no politics talked about in the exam room. But on his way out, I make a point to say, "Hey, I love your bracelet. Rock on." He says, "Thank you." He leaves. And I'm not comfortable doing that. To me, that's like telling a black doctor, "By the way, I voted for Obama twice." I don't like, it's uncomfortable.
It's Get Out, the Jewish edition.
It's the Jewish Get Out.
You're sending him to the sunken place.
It's the Jewish Get Out. Like, I'm going to cut his brain out or something. Yeah. So I'm very uncomfortable doing that shit. I really don't like to. But in this case, I do feel obligated to, because he sees on the fucking form that my last name is Weiss, and I don't want him to think that I'm one of these genocidal sick fucks who's going to judge him for wearing the fucking bracelet. I don't want him to feel secure in wearing the bracelet at work, because I think it's great that he wears the bracelet. The point of that is, it's something that Jews have to live down. We do. We have to live it down. And that's not like, I don't talk about this to redeem Judaism. I do the opposite. The culture has become completely toxic. That's how you get people like this going on a stage and saying shit like that.
Yeah. I mean, look, in hindsight, they were always Zionist. And frankly, it was easier to ignore that and focus on the stuff that I think American Jews, and particularly New York Jews, identify as Judaism, which is basically shtetl humor and certain gallows humor. I mean, we look more to the Marx Brothers as our cultural inheritance than Ben Gurion, and this just made it impossible to look at it that way. And like I said, man, for those of us, I will include myself, who didn't pay that much attention to it. It's not that it wasn't there. It's just that we weren't looking, and it was easy not to look. It was easy to look at the parts of the culture that we identified with and not look at a lot of what was going on under the surface.
Right. Exactly. All right. Let's read our remaining chats, and then we will get on out of here.
All right. So where are we picking up? That's after the article, right? Gator Pete. We will talk somewhere else later. Right? PW Walker, come on, guys. Now isn't the time to primary Jeffries, because I want him to do another rap through the alphabet. Yeah. Is that it? Oh,
no,
there's more down there. Yeah. Sound Chaser 78. It's breathtaking to hear such profound self-incrimination delivered with self-assuredness and without the faintest clue of the emotional and moral decrepity they rationalize. Seriously. She sent that over twice. Gator Pete, fucking later till you talk with me. Okay. Well, we're talking with you now, Gator Pete. All right. That's it.
That's everything. All right. Well, thanks everybody very much. Appreciate you all being here. Thanks to the team once again, Andrew, Misha, Malcolm, the whole crew, Jimmy and Steph, for the opportunity. As always, it's been a pleasure. Got a great guest roster of co-hosts filling in. So it's Chris Keene on Friday, James Lee on Monday, and then Chris again in the host chair on Wednesday. Thanks everybody very much for being here. You can catch us tomorrow at noon on our main channel if you would like. Got Sabby Sabs coming on, talk about her new documentary. So that should be a fun time, and we will see you further down the road. Of course. Thanks everybody. Have a great night.
Courage.